Hey there, welcome to CKLU 96.7. So this hour we have another edition of Creator Conversations. This is presented by our creator. My name is Jess. I'm your host for this hour. So each week over the last several months, we've been sitting down with a different Sudburian of interest to talk to them about what they're working on, and get to know about what they're contributing to Sudbury and making Sudbury a more vibrant and exciting place to live. So this week we had on the show John McHenry. So he's somebody who's been on my radar to have on the show for a little while. Finally had a good excuse, though. So he is the artistic director of Sudbury Theatre Centre. So they just released their announcement for their 2019-2018 season. They just wrapped the 2017-2018 season literally this past weekend, but we're going to talk more about that. So we're going to hear from John about their plans for the next year's season, some of the productions that we're looking forward to, and also, have you ever sat down and thought about what exactly goes into selecting the plays that they're going to present in a year? That's a lot of pressure, right? So we're going to hear more about that process and what that's like to really examine the pieces of theater that you've fallen in love with and decide which ones you're actually going to be able to show the light of day to. So listen in. We're going to talk with John. We'll be back soon as well with some music, and hope you enjoy. This week on the show for Creator Conversations, we have on the artistic director of the Sudbury Theatre Centre, John McHenry. So thank you so much today for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
So we're here today specifically, we wanted to talk about the 2018-2019 season that was announced really recently. So what do we have coming up for next year's season?
Well, we're opening with a real party show. It's The Ballad of Stompin' Tom, written by David Scott, and of course the music of Tom C. Connors, otherwise known as Stompin' Tom.
Never heard of him.
No. I think it's Canadian.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. At Christmas, we're going to do Plaid Tidings, which is a special holiday edition of Forever Plaid. The new year brings Here on the Flight Path, a comedy by Norm Foster, Canada's favourite playwright. And then the season closes with The Birds and the Bees by Mark Crawford, which is another hilarious comedy. I was at Blythe Festival when it premiered. I'm really excited to be bringing it to Sudbury.
Nice. Now, another series that you guys are going to be working on for next year, which you did for the first time this year, it was the Ladies of the Rock presented by, which was hosted by Kelly Paris. And so you're going to be starting doing that again next year. This time it's going to be opened up to any gender.
Voices of the Rock.
Voices of the Rock.
That's right.
So can you tell us more about the success of the series this year and what we can expect for next year?
Yeah, it was really well received this year. It was surprising, with the likes of Joe Poe and Samantha, whose surname has just escaped me. But we had a really great time, and people really enjoyed it. I know Kelly is working really hard on securing the three artists for this series, this season upcoming. But I do know that Kevin Kloss has signed on for the date in February, so that's really exciting.
So he's the first one we know about so far.
That's right.
Now, you just wrapped just this weekend, actually, so we're recording this on June 4th. So just this past weekend, you wrapped your Students on Stage production of Alice in Wonderland. And that's with a cast entirely from the ages about 10 to 17. So how did they do?
Oh, my goodness, they did so well. They played to a sold-out run of all week for student matinees, and then, as you said, we had 3 public performances this weekend that were completely sold out as well. So it was really well received, and the kids did such an amazing job. They had been rehearsing this since January with Casey and Kirsten as the directors and Lindsay the choreographer, and they did a fantastic job. Everybody loved it. There were so many tears Saturday night at the party. I had to leave the room because it was getting to all of us. But,
it was too much.
It was too much.
We're 30 theater people, right?
Yeah,
We're very susceptible to emotion.
So emotional.
So the students are going to be hitting the stage again next year. This is a production that we do, or a program that runs every year.
Yes, it is.
So next year it will be The Wind in the Willows.
Yes, it's a new adaptation by Barbara Worthy, and John Luke Addison has written the music, and this will be the second production. It premiered in Niagara this past year, and I'm really excited to be able to do the second production of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a delightful adaptation.
Now, with the SDC, obviously you work on with quite a few adults on different productions. So how do you feel what's the difference really with working with the younger people? Do you find that there's a different approach?
Well, the adults, they're there to do a job. The kids are there to have a great time, and they get so enthused. And one of the youth actors was in my show. There were a few, but one in particular was in my cast of A Christmas Story last Christmas that I directed here, and he was also in Alice in Wonderland, and he hosted Vegas night, which was the theme for the cast party, and they gave out awards. And the energy that he had, it was something that I hadn't seen before. He was very reserved during rehearsals, but he just let go after the show at the party, and it was amazing to see. They had such a great time.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's the difference between kids and actors. The actors we have 2.5 weeks to do to rehearse a show, which is really, it's no time at all. So they are nose to the grindstone and get the job done. The kids, they have a longer time period, and they play theatre games with Ethan and really have a good time.
Mm-hmm. So they kind of haven't gotten carried away with all the job of it, right? They're just excited to be there.
Totally.
When you're in the process of selecting what productions are going to be in the next season, what does that process look like?
Oh, it's huge, and it's even bigger than I thought it was. We all have our favorite shows that we would like to do if ever one became an artistic director. So I had my list of favorites, and then it's like, well, we can't do that one because there's 25 in the cast. We can't do that one because it's a period piece and the costumes would cost too much. Oh, we can't do that one because it's just going to cost too much money. So it takes some careful moving around of things, and you want to produce a well-balanced season. One thing that people have told me while I've been talking to them in the lobby at Christmas time, or since I've been here since January 1st, they like their musicals and they like their comedies in Sudbury. So that's what I've given them in this upcoming season. It's a season of music and comedy. I forgot to mention that Lisa Way is coming in The British Invasion, the music from across the pond. So I'm really excited about that. Lisa and I go back a long way. So it takes some really careful planning. How many is in this cast? If we have a big cast, and we like to open with a big cast musical, so that it gets everybody excited. Hence the Ballad of Stompin' Tom. So and then it takes some careful planning. Oh well, maybe we'll have to do a two-hander. A man and a woman in one show. So
yeah, kind of balancing everything with the budget, with the people that you have available, the resources you have available.
Absolutely, yeah. I've been very tricky because here on the flight path is only 2 actors. It's a man and it's a woman, but the woman plays 3 different roles. So it's really like a cast of 4.
Well, we saw sort of the same thing with the Invention of Romance that was earlier this season.
Absolutely.
We had Jake Deeth performing. How many characters did you do?
He played like close to 12.
13. Maybe throw in an extra.
That's right. So yeah, and he was fantastic. So yeah, you really have to be careful on how you play.
Yeah. Now, with this being your first season with the theater, did you feel like there was a certain impression that you wanted to make as far as your theatrical contribution to Sudbury?
I do. I want people to come back to the theatre centre and have a good time. The catchphrase this year is a good night out, and I'm really promising that, and I'm sure people will have a good time when they come to the theatre centre next season.
Mm-hmm. Now, you just took on the role as artistic director at the beginning of the year. Quite a precarious time for the history of the theater. What's been your attitude coming in and wanting to really kind of take the reins?
My attitude is to get people back through the front doors, and as I just said, and have a good time at the theatre centre. And from talking to people, they want to come back. They want to come and have a good time and enjoy themselves and have a good night out. And that's what I'm delivering. Yes, we have had a bad time. This season that we've just finished. It was dubious whether we would make it to the end. It was dubious whether we would even open back in September. We did. We made it through the end. And it was great. But people were still a little, are they still going to be there if I buy tickets? So we're still here. We're going to have a great time next year. And I encourage everybody to come back.
Nice. Theater is alive and thriving in Sudbury.
It certainly is. And it's not just at STC. Like Latino and... There's so much going on. Theatre Cambrian and everybody else.
And Place Melter, you guys just hosted Place Melter a few weeks ago?
We did, and had a good time. There was some great stuff there. Place Melter was at STC for the first time. This was their 5th year. First time at STC. I don't know why it took so long, but it did. But we're glad to have them.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, John. We're going to cut to our first section of music, and then we'll be back more to hear about John's history in theater. Hey, welcome back to the studio. This is CKLU 96.7. I'm Jess, your host for Creator Conversations today. Now, we have the summertime is definitely in full swing. The weather today, you might be doubting it a little bit, but believe me, it's here. I don't know if you were downtown this weekend. There was so much going on. There was the opening of the Greater Sudbury Market downtown at the Via Rail station. There was also the Makers North Festival, Makers North Spring Market at the McEwen School. I don't know about you, but I definitely spoiled myself and got some really cool stuff there. Always looking forward to the Makers North events for sure. There was also the Rethink Green Earth Day Festival, so if you check that out, it looked like there were lots of great pictures of people checking stuff out and interacting with all the organizations in our community. This weekend, no exception, we've got tons of stuff going on downtown. So again, there'll be the Greater Sudbury Market will be open at the train station for you to go check out for all your local grocery needs, as well downtown on taking over a chunk of Durham and Larch intersection. There'll be Blues for Food by Downtown Sudbury all day on Saturday. So definitely go check that out. Make any donation, contribution you're able to, and take part in the tradition. As well, a completely new type of event in our city on Saturday. That is June 9th. There is Vintage Prom. So if you have not gotten your tickets yet, they are still available. There's a few tickets still left for the full dinner, dance, prom experience at the Crusoe Club. The folks from Sudbury Burlesque and Starlet Satine Vintage have been working so hard on this, and it's going to be an amazing night. So what would they have there? What won't they have is really the question. They're going to have tintype photography. They're going to have live acts. They're going to have burlesque performers coming in from out of town. They're going to have all your favorite oldies by DJ Vinyl. It's going to be a great night, and of course also all the vintage attire. I can't wait to see what everyone's going to be wearing. And you have two options. You can buy a full ticket for a full plated meal, as well as the dance and show. Or if you're more apt to just come for the dance and show afterwards, you can also buy for $30 a ticket to get you in after dinner to enjoy the rest of the night. But you definitely don't want to miss out on the first chunk. Who knows what kind of fun stuff's going to happen. Sudbury Burlesque and Starlet Satine, they've always got amazing surprises up their sleeve. So to get you in the mood for the event, we're going to do a little bit of an oldies playlist here. So we're going to start off with Dancing the Moonlight by Harvest King, because that is just everyone's favorite. Then we're going to go into a few oldies that you might not know were Canadian. So we're going to do Put Your Head on My Shoulders by Paul Anka, Shaboom by the Crew Cuts, and Run Around Sue by the Diamonds. So if you're in your car right now, no shame, dance away. If you're at home, whatever you're doing, dance. It's fun. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Creator Conversations presented by Our Creator. We can't play the music right here, but check out below for the link to this week's playlist, as well as all the links you need for this week's guest. Make sure you're subscribed to Our Creator on all your feeds. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under Our Creator, and use the hashtag Our Creator to be featured. Hey, welcome back to the station. It's CKLU 96.7. We're here this hour for Creator Conversations. So we just did a little bit of a playlist here. These are songs that you may hear featured at Vintage Prom coming up this Saturday, June 9th at the Crusoe Club. Tickets are still available. If you look up the event on Facebook, Vintage Prom, you'll find it swinging on a star. So tickets still available. You can get you have two options, either for a full dinner, show, dance, everything, a true prom experience, you could say, to choose from, or if you're more inclined to stay home for the dinner part, you can also buy tickets to just the dance afterwards. They've got lots of special things coming in. They've got lots of performers coming in from out of town. There's going to be live music. There's going to be the Juliettes will be performing. Some of the girls from Sudbury Burlesque have gotten together to create their own little doo-wop group for the event. Lots of fun vintage styles for sure will be around. So definitely something worth checking out if you're not sure what you're going to be doing with your Saturday night. As well, Saturday afternoon, head downtown. There is Blues for Food going on presented by Downtown Sudbury, so there's definitely lots to check out. The summertime is upon us. Remember as well, looking ahead to July, Northern Lights Festival Boreal is coming up. That is July 5th through the 8th, extending from Thursday to Sunday for the second year in a row, adding an extra night. So on Thursday night, there is the Arkel, so that'll definitely be a great show you don't want to miss. On Friday, Lisa LeBlanc. On Saturday, Always, and on Sunday, Bill and Joel Plaskett. So lots definitely to check out. Hope you've been getting your sunshine in this season so far. So we're going to go into our second half of the interview here. So this week we've been talking with John McHenry. So he's the artistic director for Sudbury Theatre Centre. So we've been talking to him in our first half about the season coming up for 2018-2019 that was just announced at the beginning of the month. They just this weekend wrapped their season for the 2017-2018 season with their Students on Stage production of Alice in Wonderland, and they had a fantastic time. It was a sold-out show. The kids did a great job, as they always do. There's also Ladies of the Rock. That was a new series that was presented by Kelly Paris in the Cabaret Lounge. It was a great success, and they're bringing it back again next year. So there's going to be three voices of the rock. Now they're opening it up to be gender inclusive. So there's lots to check out at STC as always. They've got more than just the drama. So listen in here. We're going to talk more with John. He's the artistic director again over at STC. We're going to hear more about his influences, how he even got involved in theater to begin with, and we're going to revisit some of our Creator Conversations questions because we haven't checked in on those in a little while, and see what he has to say about some of our most notable Sudbury scenes, Sudbury things to eat. Who knows? We'll see. We'll find out. We are back again with the second half of our hour for Creator Conversations. This hour we've been talking with John McHenry from Sudbury Theatre Centre. In our first hour we talked a lot about the season that just passed and what we can look forward to for next year, which will be John's first year as the artistic director, with an entirely selected program that he actually got to have a hand in now. But John, you are not a stranger at all to Sudbury, let alone the SDC stage. So can you tell us about your history with us?
I certainly can. Well, It was back in 1986, and I made my professional debut on stage at STC as an actor, actually as a dancer in Showboat. It was funny, set of circumstances how it happened. I was working in Toronto as a non-equity performer, and the costume mistress at STC at the time, Warner Timlock, and we were great friends. Our relationship went back to St. Catharines. And I got the call saying that Tony Lloyd needed a non-equity dancer to fill out his quota. Was I available? Was I interested? Yes, on both accounts. So I came up as a non-equity dancer, and then Tony calls me into the office and says, well, I haven't made my quota with equity actors. Would you like to have your equity card? So he gave me my equity card, and that was it. Showboat, 1986.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're talking about equity versus non-equity, like what does that mean as far as a theater perspective?
Well, equity are the quote-unquote professionals, and non-equity are the non-professionals. And STC is a professional theatre. We hire professional actors. And you're only allowed to hire so many non-equity performers in any given show, in any given season. So, I was very lucky.
So you're very lucky to not have had your equity yet.
That's right.
Nice. So that was your first professional theater booking. So what were you working on before that? Were you doing kind of other volunteer community theater?
I did. Well, I've done a lot of community theater in St. Catharines and Hamilton, Embro, and Theatre Orangeville. But that's where my training began. It began in England, way back in 1974.
Bleep that out, that's okay.
Yeah. And, in a show called Viva Mexico, that was my first time on stage, and just fell in love with it.
And the bug bit you.
It did bite me.
Man.
Yeah.
Do you remember a particular show when you look back that kind of sparked your interest in theater at all?
I don't. So many people say, oh yes, I was sitting in, whatever show, and I knew right then and there I wanted to be an actor. I never had that aha moment. I saw, pantomimes in England as a kid growing up, but nothing really grabbed me, and just...
So what led you to decide to have the hardest profession in the world?
That's really. My grandmother, God bless her, she gave me a gentle nudge, introduced me to somebody back in England, when I was a teenager, and she saw something. I joined an organization called the 14 to 20 Music and Drama Society. We were all aged between 14 and 20.
Never would have guessed.
Right. And it just took off from there. I did many, 3-4 shows with them before emigrating to Canada in 1977.
Mm-hmm. So what brought you to Canada in the end?
A 747. I know. It's a bad joke, but, my family were out here. I finished my education in England, and then I came out.
And then you came to join them? Okay.
In St. Catharines, that's where they landed.
Now, are there any productions that you would love to bring to STC?
I'm a huge fan of the big musicals. I love the big musicals. The Sound of Musics, the Mamma Mias, the Matildas, the Chitty Chitty Bang Bangs. We're just not there quite yet. We need to have a few good years before I can bring one of those musicals to our stage again, because Tony Lloyd did it, and people love them. So hopefully one day.
They are classics for a reason, right?
They are, right? And people love them for a reason. We all love a good musical.
Yeah, it's a feel good time, right?
It is a feel good time.
Okay, so John, let's go into some of our Creator Conversations questions. So these are a few of our standard questions that we like to ask all of our guests. John, where would you say is the best view in the city?
Well, Lake Ramsey is just beautiful, isn't it? The boardwalk.
It is pretty nice, right? on a nice
Does a lot of people
on a nice
say that?
No, the boardwalk is not one that I've ever gotten. That's not a response I've ever gotten.
Because people think
high.
High up?
High up.
Well, I was going to say the top of the smokestack.
Have you been there?
No, but a very funny story. When I was in Fiddler on the Roof back in 1990 at STC, directed by Diane Nyland Proctor, Peter Millett was a host of the morning show on CBC, CTV. It was on TV. And
so it must have been CTV.
And we were doing a promo. We wanted to shoot a promo, and he said, well, what about getting you on top of this, because I was playing the fiddler. He said, let's get you on top of the super stack, and with the violin, we can get a
so sort of like a helicopter.
A helicopter, to drop you on top, because it is quite wide up there.
There is room to stand on it.
That did not happen.
I wish so much that it happened.
You do. I would have done it. But yeah.
All right.
Instead, I had my photograph taken on top of Sudbury Theatre Centre.
Oh my goodness.
On top of the Fly Tower.
All right. So year 2020, we're gonna see Fiddler on the Roof with a picture on top of the smokestack and Viva Mexico. Okay. So, as somebody who didn't grow up in Sudbury. But have definitely made your mark here, what would you say you think is Sudbury's signature dish?
Well, I think it's got to be porchetta, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think this is obligatory, right?
And the fact that I know that already is...
Well, it probably says a lot.
It does say a lot. And I haven't had any yet, but we were just talking about it a couple of weeks ago. Porchetta, like... Porchetta bingo, like, I'm there.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, STC just last week had an evening honoring Judy Strawn. And one of our questions that we actually like to ask on the show as well is, who is a Sudburian that deserves a shout out? Somebody that maybe doesn't get as much recognition as they deserve. And we already had a whole evening about Judy.
We did. Well, I'm gonna lump a whole group of people together because STC is just down the street from the ambulance and fire and paramedics station. I don't think there's a day that goes by that one of those vehicles leaves its station with its sirens blaring, that something is happening somewhere. So I'm going to give a shout out to all those first responders. Because they don't get enough. They don't get enough recognition. No. And I'm sure a lot of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those first responders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a tough job. Literally, not everyone can do it. It takes a special person too.
I couldn't do it.
No, absolutely not. All right, so we're going to head into our last segment here. So this is our Hot Jam Sandwich. So this is where you have a chance to play DJ. So you're going to pick two songs that you think that I should play that are something that you are listening to right now. I'll throw one in as well, and we'll see where we end up.
Well, it's not what I'm listening to now.
Oh, that's okay.
But I would be remiss if I didn't choose Sudbury Saturday Night by Stompin' Tom.
That's a good choice. Yeah.
And then a second one is Let's Fall in Love, because it ties in the fourth show, The Birds and the Bees, because it goes, birds do it, bees do it, even educated fleas do it. Let's do it, let's fall in love.
Adorable.
Right? So you'll have to Google that.
I'll find it, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Oh man. Okay, well the one that I'm gonna throw in there, it's a cover. It's by Phil Collins. It's a cover of oh shoot, I can't even remember what the song is called right now. Well, we're gonna find out when I play it. I've forgotten the name of the song, but it's a Phil Collins cover, and it's been, for some reason, it's been coming up a lot on playlists for me, which is weird. And every time it comes on, I'm delighted. So I'm not mad about it at all. But yeah, so that will be our 3-track playlist to finish out the hour. Thanks for joining us today, John.
Thank you.
Hey there, welcome back to the studio. This is CKLU 96.7. So this hour we spoke with John McHenry. So he is the artistic director of the Sudbury Theatre Centre. We got the rundown on everything that you can expect to see this year coming up for the 2018-2019 season. So starting off in September, there's the Ballad of Stomping Tom. Going over the Christmas season is Plaid Tidings. In February, there is Here on the Flight Path. In April, The Birds and the Bees. As well, there's some special events. So there's Across the Pond, the British Invasion, that you can catch in March. There's also theater for young audience, so a children's production in November. Students on Stage. So that is, they just wrapped Alice in Wonderland for the 2017-28 season. Next year, they'll be doing Wind in the Willows in June. There's also going to be the cabaret series Voices of the Rock that'll be featured during December, February, and May. So there's a few presentations of that. And one night only special event, Affordably Number, a celebration of Pink Floyd. So January 17th, that's a one night only event. So there's definitely lots to check out at the theater center. So, show up, put your money where your mouth is, or however that phrase goes. Show people that theater is important to people in Sudbury. Your theater always needs your support. So definitely, support with your dollar. That's the best way to support it. Buy your ticket, show up for the show, put yourself in the seat. So there's lots of great things to look forward to definitely for next year. Checking out on ourcreator.com for different things that you can read about. And we've got some information about the Makers North market that just passed this weekend, but definitely check that out for information on some of the makers that they had. You can probably definitely contact them to get to purchase items any time of year. So lots of stuff to look at there. We've got a roundup of Sudbury's best patios. So we know the season is here. Everybody loves a good patio, so check it out. We've got a roundup as well of the top 5 best burgers in Sudbury. We've got a new series we've been doing as well called Maker Monday, where we've been posting all sorts of fun things that creatives in our area have been cooking up. So lots of stuff to look at on ourcreator.com. Make sure as well that you're subscribed to us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. You can look us all up on Our Creator on all of those platforms. You never know what we're going to be up to. We're going to be doing a lot of different things this summer. We're going to be at all the best events, and keep an eye on what we're up to around our community. So without further ado here, we're going to go into our last playlist here. Requested by John is Sudbury Saturday Night by Stompin' Tom Connors. I know you've never heard that song before. They also have You Can't Hurry Love. It turns out that was the song I was trying to remember, by Phil Collins. Let's Do It by Ella Fitzgerald. And then last one is it's a song that came up in conversation with me and John after our interview. We were kind of talking about how different interpretations of songs in musical theater versus, mainstream music, it can really change the feel of the song. So I'm gonna add in there as well 21 Guns. That's by Green Day, but this is going to be the version featured in American Idiot the musical. So if you're familiar with the original version, you're definitely going to hear the difference. So take a listen. Thanks for tuning in to Creator Conversations presented by Our Creator. We can't play the music right here, but check out below for the link to this week's playlist, as well as all the links you need for this week's guest. Make sure you're subscribed to Our Creator on all your feeds. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under Our Creator, and use the hashtag Our Creator to be featured. Hey there, that's it for this hour of Creator Conversations. So this hour we have been speaking with John McHenry. He is the artistic director of Sudbury Theatre Centre, so make sure you check out their website, their Facebook page, their Twitter, all their content to make sure you're up to date on what you can expect for the 2018-2019 season. They've got lots of great shows coming up, so definitely check it out. And now remember as well, you can always check out past episodes of Creator Conversations. If you take the look on ourcreator.com, we post them as we go. So last week we spoke with Amanda Kingsley Mallow. She is the founder of Politics Now, which is an organization dedicated to empowering women and providing them with resources and tools in order to participate in politics. Some of the other more recent people we've interviewed have been Matt Haiti, who just received a bookmark plaque you can see right outside the Townhouse Tavern in honor of his book that he wrote featuring that location pretty prominently. So lots of exciting stuff happening here in Sudbury, and the summer season is upon us, so that means nothing will be slowing down anytime soon. So keep your eyes and ears open. Check out ourcreator.com for all sorts of updates on different things that are going on. You can also check out find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram to see what we're up to at all times. So we'll talk to you again next week.